This app about to go away, so I'm gonna say what I gotta say. So I just watched a really great video by this Black woman who was talking about how segregation in today's world is really not about Black people, it's about white people. And I'm not gonna summarize her video, but I will talk about something that recently came up in real life in conversation. And I was in a conversation with people that were half Black, half white. Now, full disclosure, I am Black and Chinese. My entire life, though, I have been identified as a Black woman to society. Well, really an Oreo, but that's a conversation from a totally different video. But in talking about this whole segregation in 2025 topic, they were like, oh, the internet is saying that segregation is a good thing and that, it's been good for the Black community. And I didn't say anything. I was just silent. But in the video, the person that I tagged, she talked a lot about how white people specifically have benefited from integration, because even though we were supposed to be promised separate and equal, or, together and equal, it has not been equal for Black people. Black people still are not paid the same as white counterparts. Black people still are not afforded the same opportunities, especially since the rollback of the affirmative action. Black people are still at the hands of police brutality. Like, it really hasn't done like a huge thing. However, with white people being in close proximity to Black people and minorities in general, they have been afforded the opportunity to be educated on how their ancestors have behaved both currently and previously in history. And it's because of that proximity of white people to minorities, specifically Black people, that they have been able to learn, grow, flourish, and with apps like TikTok, I've been able to change the overall perception of history, specifically in the United States. Now let's get back to the conversation that I was having in real life. So I was having a really hard time of understanding where these people were coming from, the people that were half white, half Black. Because as someone who is mixed, right, Black and Chinese, the one drop rule has applied to my life through and through. In fact, a lot of people have actually denied that I am Chinese, even though I know my heritage and where I come from, at least that part of my family. So what I asked in that conversation was, well, if you had to choose, would you go with your Black family or your white family? And they both said I would go with my Black family. And I said, why? And they said, well, they're just a lot more fun. Like, I feel like I have community. I feel like I have people that really like stick beside me. And what I really think it boils down to is community, because minorities have been forced to assemble their own communities because of oppression, because of things like segregation. And in doing so, are able to support their own people regardless of, what those people look like, because of the way they have been oppressed in the past. Which is why you see today a lot of Black people online are like, oh, I don't care if we're segregated or whatever. But a lot of white people are like, no, we can't do this, because they would in fact lose their community. The best way that I can think to put this in perspective for people who just aren't getting it is when we look at men and women. So right now, men are going through this loneliness epidemic, right? Where a lot of women just don't want to get married. They're not really interested in dating. They are buying their own homes. They're working their own jobs. They're making, their multiple six-figure salaries, whatever. They have their own businesses. They can have their own bank accounts without men. They can do whatever without men. So women are like, why would I opt to be in a relationship with a man when I can just do bad all by myself? When you look at men who typically don't have as flourishing of a community or as well-rounded of a community as women do, right? Relationships typically aren't that deep with other men. They also aren't really emotionally available with other men, or have like different opportunities where they can feel like they can be emotionally safe with other people. When they are in relationships, they seek a lot of emotional support from women because they don't have that in other aspects of their life. So the fact that women are going off and doing their own thing and don't give a damn about men, it's really hurting the men, and the men are like, no, we don't want this. But if men would actually, be more emotionally available with their friends, go to therapy, talk about their feelings, have, celebrations and birthday parties and just deeper friendships and connections and relationships like women do, then they wouldn't really be bothered if women were doing all the things that we're already doing on our own. It's patriarchal beliefs that are holding men back from living their best lives, because now that women are separate and mostly kind of ish equal, depending on who you're talking to, we can go off and do our own thing and live our best lives. Similarly, Black people have their own community, have their own restaurants, banks, shops, businesses, influencers, all of it, right? So white people who don't really have the same community, who don't have the same deep connections, don't have the same village of people to really be behind them in their own culture and their own lives, are going to be missing out because they don't have the support from minorities, aka Black people in this case. And in that scenario, it's white supremacy, which hint is very closely related, if not cousins, to patriarchy, because If white people actually had their own communities where they were flourishing and it didn't really need to rely on minorities, and they could be fine all by themselves. In case you needed yet another example of how white people don't really have community, is since January 15th, Inauguration Day, I have not seen a single viral protest video or slew of videos. I haven't seen a single one. I'm on the internet every single day, haven't seen one. Why? Because they aren't out there. They're not protesting. There's no community. There's no organization. There's no one to really spearhead the movement. Who typically spearheads all the activism and protests and any civil rights related movements? Black people. While I still have you here, I would like to also point out that because white people don't have these big, flourishing, supportive communities like other minorities do, they really grasp hold of their communities in real life. So like their families and, you know, their people that they hang out with at the country clubs, et cetera, et cetera. So when things like a presidential election happens and people find out that their other half of their family actually voted for someone that they don't support, it is actually less likely that they're going to leave that family because it's literally the only semblance of community they have that does not involve minorities. So I'm going to conclude this TED Talk by saying that whether or not you believe segregation was positive or negative for the Black community, I better not see a single Black person at a protest or marching on April 5th. Thank you.
The fantasization of segregation that y'all new Blacks are doing right now on social media is very scary to fucking see. And there's no fucking way that y'all sat down and y'all had access and actually talked to the elders in y'all families that grew up or lived during those time periods to sit here and get on Beyonce's internet and say that, oh, and clap and be excited for segregation to come back or the idea of it to come back. Like, a lot of y'all need to go read a fucking book. Go read a fucking book. I've already made a video debunking all this Black wealth myth during fucking segregation that y'all sit here and get on and talk as if there were just these Black Wall Streets and Black wealth all across America. Majority of Black people during segregation, especially if they lived in the South, were in fucking poverty. These Black doctors and Black schools and all this Black shit that y'all keep trying to fantasize. Like, number one, it wasn't as if they had the best of equipment or the best of education. Like, and most of the supply, like we didn't own any of the manufacturing or anything of that nature. So we still had to go get shit from white people. Like, Black people stuck together back then because we had to. And like, we are still segregated. We're still segregated. Because even back then, during segregation, when Black people got money, got the wealth, and had the resources, they didn't stay in the South to be fucking segregated. Fast forward to today, motherfuckers who get the resources don't stay in the fucking hood. Like, y'all act like we ain't still relatively, for the most part, still segregated. Y'all think because they slap a Black-owned sign on something that, like, bro, look at our clubs. Look at most of our schools. Look at most of where we fucking live. We're still segregated. There's just laws in place now so that we don't get slung up on trees and we have equal access to shit. Or equal opportunity. But then y'all argue against that shit. We don't need DI. Like, bro. But maybe y'all need that shit to finally help y'all realize what, because mind you, these are the same motherfuckers who can't stop buying Lululemon. The same motherfuckers who can't go and stop buying resold Jordans on StockX. Can't stop buying shit from places that don't want you. So maybe y'all do need a motherfucker to force y'all to be around niggas. Like, dog, I seen somebody comments that was talking about, yeah, we need segregation back. Somebody said, yeah, because the projects weren't even for Black people. They were for the Jewish and the immigrants and the white immigrants. As if the first projects were not built in Atlanta. Oh my God. Read a book, bro. Go read a book. But like I said, I already broke this down in another video. I'm a pin it. I'm gonna pin it, so y'all go watch it.
So I had some white colleagues ask me what I thought about Trump actually segregating whites and Blacks. And I actually told them straight up, like, honestly, I would love that. Now, they looked at me like I was crazy, and they almost spit up their almond milk. And I think they thought that maybe I was saying that out of hatred. But it really isn't about hatred. Here's the thing. I'm not talking about their version of segregation. See, I'm talking about our version of righteous separation, spiritual sovereignty. and black sufficiency. See, the truth of it is that integration was never about freedom. It was finesse. It was a system's way of saying, let's stop them from succeeding independently so we can profit from their brilliance directly. It was about control. And so I want us to be very clear about this. You know, we were never separate but equal. So that's a lie. We were separate and excelling. We had our own schools. We had our own banks. We had our own businesses. And baby, we were thriving. Black Wall Street, they burned it. Rosewood, they bombed it. Wilmington, they overthrew it. Why? Because we were doing too well without them, and they couldn't handle that. And so that's the truth. They didn't really want segregation gone. They wanted control. This is why we know that integration was just repackage of chains. When we were separate, we actually were building and excelling. And when they saw that we could excel without them, then it was like, oh no, we got to take control and make sure that their labor is profiting us. So right around that time, they rolled out this whole standardized testing, ACT and SAT. Y'all remember that? They created this IQ ranking to measure their norms, not our brilliance. And then we were said we were behind when we really weren't. We were just building our own lane, not asking for theirs. See, I don't know about you all, but I'm kind of tired of the lies. It's very exhausting, you know, just the lies that continue to be promoted. And I want to talk about the melanin, because this whole thing that we're not smart enough, that we're not bright enough, is simply just a lie. And so, you know, all this testing that they're doing, and I have kids in school, and they're made to feel that they cannot achieve. And I have to remind them about their actual superpower, melanin. See, not just your skin tone, but in your brain, specifically neuromelanin, that rich dark pigment found in areas like the substantia nigra, which are critical for learning and memory and decision making and emotional regulation. See, if you don't know, then you won't know how to respond. But when you learn about the studies that have actually linked the neuromelanin to higher concentrations and how it's related to enhanced memory and processing and higher intelligence and faster reaction times, then you know why they have hidden this information for so long. Because when you have higher melanin, you have stronger brain resilience against degenerative diseases. So translation to that is melanin doesn't just make you glow, it makes you grow. So we know that it's not coincidental that people with more melanin have historically been creators, inventors, innovators across every discipline, while also being the most suppressed, because they know that the more melanin you have in your body and in your brain actually produces higher intelligence. So the Bible also says this too in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 7. It says he placed treasures in earthen vessels. What treasures? It was in us all along, right? So we have more melanin, and we know that people with less melanin, because it's a recessive gene and it's a mutation, lack the same level of intelligence, of many different benefits that come along with that. What's so interesting about it is that we're supposed to be looking at this as if it's something negative. But why is it negative when every other cultural group does this? Group economics. See, the truth of the matter is they have stolen from us so many different things, and yet we still survive. And so I don't want to offend, but I have to be blunt here. When we invented it, they patented it. When we built it, they banked on it. So everything we created, they made sure they benefited off of it. Just like Louis Latimer, he actually developed the light bulb, but Edison got all the glory for it. And this has been going on through history. We know that Granville T. Woods laid the foundation for trains. Corporations got the contracts. Dr. Patricia Bath revolutionized eye surgery. The system licensed the tech. Black music became white record labels, billion-dollar industries off of our talent. Every time we create, they capitalize. We are the genius, but they control the royalties. It's quite interesting, isn't it? So when we talk about the facts and segregation, I want to be very clear. It's not racist. We have to understand the dynamics of this. See, the black dollar actually is the fastest running dollar in America. So let's do the math here. And I think it's quite funny. Black people have spending power over 1.6 trillion. But guess what? That dollar stays in our community just for 6 hours. While the white community, their dollar stays in their community 17 days. And guess what? Asian communities, it stays in their community 20 days. Jewish communities over 3 weeks. Why? Because we're systemically disarmed from owning what we build. And this is no coinky dink. The scripture said this would happen. So now our dollar does the labor, but the system collects the check. And this is why I support segregation on our own terms. See, that 400 years of slavery is over. And when I say that I want us to be segregated, I don't mean oppressed. I mean organize. Let's build black banks again. Let's educate our babies on the truth, not whitewashed lies. And let's support black farmers, black techs, black healing, black brilliance. And no, it doesn't mean I hate white people. No, it means I finally love us enough to stop begging for scraps from a table we built but never welcomed to. See, the Bible told us about this, yet we hop, skip, and jump over the fact that Deuteronomy 28, 43, and 44 already said it. It says, the stranger shall rise above you high, and you shall come down low. They shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to them. And this is exactly what has been happening for 400 years plus years. We built houses, businesses, schools, and they took them and taxed them to death. But beloved, there's hope, because Deuteronomy 30:3 also says, and Yah will turn your captivity and have compassion upon you, and will return and gather you from all nations. So yes, I welcome segregation, because restoration is already in motion. And I want y'all to understand this. We are not asking for more. We're building. See, we were never given anything from you all. I'm not asking to sit at somebody's table anymore. See, I'm trying to go along with scripture and build my people, gather my people, not because they are more melanated, but because we need to know that we serve the Most High and that He's going to take care of us, because separation was never our curse. It was our covenant. And now it's our strategy. It says to come out from among them, be ye separated. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17. So this isn't about racism. It's about us reclaiming what is already ours.
If segregation come back, all I gotta say is, once black people start thriving, start having businesses, start having properties, start having land, and just thriving without y'all, do not come over here destroying our shit. Don't try to burn down our cities or none of that. Don't do that. You see black people hating on other white people because they got everything in the world? No. The fuck? We will stay in our corner, build our shit up, mind our business. That's it. We just want to thrive. So if y'all see us doing good, please leave us be. Leave us be. Spare us. Just like y'all spare every other race that come over here and build up and have all these businesses. Have y'all ever been to like Duluth, Georgia? Like literally, it's Korean businesses everywhere, on every block, on every corner. And it's just like, okay, cool. Nobody's messing with their stuff. So I want that same energy when we build our stuff up like that. So once you see black businesses everywhere, do not come over here destroying our shit. Damn. Okay, if y'all don't want us in y'all shit, that's okay. All right, whatever. But once we build a life for ourselves, don't fuck it up. That's all we asking. All right? You ain't even got to see us. Like, just don't come over here destroying our shit, baby, because black people ain't we ain't even gonna be stunting y'all. Like, that's the thing. We ain't even gonna be worried about y'all. And black people never was worried about y'all, even back when there was segregation. You know what I'm saying? The only problem that black people have with white people is that white people were racist. That's the only problem that we have with white people. We have a problem that y'all don't like us based off our skin. I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I can't help that I'm fucking black. You know what I'm saying? Like, be so for real. So once we fucking thrive in this world, leave us the fuck alone. It'll be a real civil fucking war, because we ain't gonna let that shit slide. Do you know what generation you fucking with? Like, nah, we ain't gonna let that shit slide.
There's a whole lot of white people who are now upset that they voted for Trump. So I just want to point out this lesson and thing we do in the black community where we say all skin folk and kin folk. Y'all voted for that man because he's white and you didn't want to see a black woman become the president. And now you see all skin folk and kin folk. I don't feel sorry for you.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and thank you all for stopping by. I really appreciate you all. So in this clip, we all see when some black Americans make it clear that they don't fear separation and that they are more focused on building stronger, more self-reliant community. As soon as those statements were made, you can almost predict what that was going to happen. The internet lit up with reactions. Some people actually agreed with what was being said. They argued that investing in black-owned business, supporting one another, and creating stronger community is about economic independence and self-determination. Others had a complete different reaction, saying they believe Americans' future depends on bringing people together rather than emphasizing separation. What really caught my attention was how passionate both sides were. For many people, it touched on deeper questions about identity, history, opportunity, and what empowerment looks like in today's America. One thing I think is important to point out is that words like separation can mean different things to different people. Some people use the term to talk about building independent institutions and strengthening their own community, while others interpret it much more like that's why context matters when we react to videos like this. For me, the biggest takeaway is that people are having conversations about empowerment, community, and future, and those conversations are clearly resonating with a lot of viewers. Whether you agree with the people in the video or not, it is obvious this discussion isn't going away anytime soon. But that's just my own reaction after watching the video. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment below, and let's keep the discussion respectful. If you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.